Hello, my name is Surya. Welcome to CSCI 40. This course is focused on introduction to programming and problem solving. If you've stumbled on this video, that means you're in need of a little bit of help or assistance with regards to navigating the course page. Not a problem. I'll walk you through the end-to-end experience on how to go about doing that. So let me share my screen. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to the Clovis Community College Canvas page. You're going to enter your email and password. Upon logging in, you should see all of the courses that you've been enrolled in. If not, you can go to this little dashboard icon on the left-hand side of your screen. And if you click on that, you should be able to see all the courses that you've been enrolled in. We're going to select this course here, and then we're going to get started. So, um, when you select the course name, you're going to see a list of links giving you all the relevant pages that you need um, for what you need to do to complete the course. So kind of where I recommend that you start is the welcome letter. So we're going to do just that. We're going to walk through what it says in the welcome letter. So again, my name is Surya. Um, kind of some ways you can contact me are through my email, suryapickle2000@gmail.com. And in the case of emergencies or you need something really urgent, you can use my phone number, 510-364-8650. This course will be offered from August 11th to December 12th. And then if the email and phone number contact doesn't work for you, I also have online office hours at Tuesday and Friday from 6 to 7 p.m. or also by email appointment in the event that you have a time conflict or have extenuating circumstances. I'm more than willing to accommodate. So kind of over the course of the next 18 weeks, we'll kind of be going over more advanced concepts in C++. The presumption is that you have some prior programming knowledge, but if not, we'll be doing a recap of introductory programming concepts over the first 3 weeks and then building on top of those. So we'll be using labs and then homework assignments in the form of quizzes. I'll be going into that a little bit later. So this is kind of one of the core takeaways. The next thing is one of the core takeaways I want you to get from this video. Week one expectations. In order to avoid not getting dropped in this course, you must complete the introduction, the discussion board assignment to introduce yourself. And you can find that in this, I don't know if you can see this little hyperlinked section labeled here. If you click on that, you'll see a little discussion assignment that's due 1 week from when the course start date is. So make sure that you include your name and preferred pronouns, why computing excites you, and one thing you're looking forward to in the course. If you're not able to complete this for extenuating circumstances, please do let me know, or else you might get dropped from the course, and there isn't really anything I can do about that once that happens. So let's go back. Um, Lectures for this course are going to be asynchronous. So this course is purely online, and so attendance isn't really something that I will be enforcing. But repeated failure to submit assignments outside of the deadline, as well as the grace period, which we'll go into a little bit later, and if you don't notify me that you're going to be submitting assignments late, you may also get dropped early in the course. If there's any, again, I want to stress this point. If there's any extenuating circumstances that I need to be made aware of, please do let me know. And if this is new for you, if Canvas is new for you, you can find additional information on Clovis College's page, where they give helpful information on learning more about Canvas. So, some general course expectations. This course is rooted in problem solving. And so, as a result, the best way to really understand the concepts is to write programs, make mistakes, and learn from them. So, you can take notes, and I strongly suggest that you do, but solely relying on them and kind of memorizing concepts, you'll find that to be a pretty painful experience. And so, best way to learn concepts is writing programs and writing code. And we're not going to be using any textbooks. The primary source of truth is going to be the asynchronous lectures that are posted twice a week. And if you're struggling to understand certain concepts, please do let me know as soon as possible. Email, office hours. I'm more than open to answer any questions you have. With regards to kind of like time expectations, expected to devote around 2 to 3 hours a week going over lecture, and then 2 hours going over lab and homework assignments. So these concepts are not going to be easy, but they are going to be incredibly rewarding, and so I hope you do enjoy. Um, any additional information about like online readiness assessment courses and student services can be found in the additional helpful resources at the bottom of the welcome page. So that's the welcome page for you. Let's go on to the other course important course resource links. We have our announcements page. So whenever important announcements need to be made, so I've just clicked on that, you'll receive the announcement both in the form of an email notification as well as on the announcement I guess page itself. And it'll kind of like give you a quick ping on like anything important you need to know. Um, then we have our modules. This is kind of where you'll find the assignments that you need to turn in. This includes the introduction. So this is the discussion forum. So you got to make sure you do that again, unless you to avoid getting dropped. To avoid getting dropped. In addition to occasional discussion forums, we will also be having lecture notes where you can kind of reference them for use at any point in time in the course. And so these kind of provide a synopsis of what to expect, or kind of what to take away from lecture. So feel free to use it. We also will be giving routine quizzes in each of these modules, which are separated by concept. So certain modules will be longer in length because they cover more weeks. But you will get occasional quizzes. Oftentimes, they're kind of based off of the concepts directly from lecture. So it's a one-to-one mapping. If you don't understand certain concepts from lecture, the quizzes are kind of a quick progress check to make sure that like you're on the right track. And if you happen to get the questions right, then and you don't understand why, again, email and office hours is the way to go. In addition to quizzes, we will also be having programming labs. And so these programming labs will come with some objective. So writing some C++ program, some task, what you should be doing, some example output, what your program should be adhering to verbatim, and then some requirements on what your program needs to include. So the expectation is that you submit some .cpp file. So this is a C++ extension. Otherwise, I won't be able to use your files and actually run them. So that is a .cpp file is where your code should be contained. Um, each programming assignment will come with some accompanying rubric. Um, the bulk of the grade for these assignments come from the test cases, some of which you will have access to, and others which are hidden to avoid hard coding. Finally, I'll be enforcing kind of code cleanliness, which is basically, is your code readable? Is there proper white spacing? This is to ensure that you write code in a proper format. Um, we also will be having the occasional exam. So we have two exams, midterm and final. That'll be posted on our exams page. So if you, let's go back to the home page. There's a little exams page that you can click on to find exams. These will be posted closer to the deadline. So you'll see that as the deadline approaches. There's a little about me section. We can skip that for now. But if you're interested, that is a little link. Um, there's a little netiquette section. When we have these discussion forums, and again, this will pop up some PDF. When we have these discussion forums, the core thing I want you to take away from is that you should be being respectful and mindful of others around you. Any language that's racist, homophobic, sexist has no place in an institution of learning. So please do keep respectful, especially when giving criticism or comments in other people's posts. So let me close that. And then we have our syllabus. So let's take a look at that. This gives a more detailed um, overview of like what to expect in this course. So I've kind of gone over the course info already. Um, but some important dates that we should be looking at. There are certain drop deadlines that you should be also considering in the event that this course might not be for you, or you might have a lot of things on your plate. So there's drop deadline full refund, drop deadline to avoid a W, and then the final drop deadline. And then we have some holidays during which instruction will not be offered. We have our midterm and our final exams, so those dates are fixed already, set in stone. The project due date, I'll go into more on what that will entail, but that will be due November, kind of closer to the midterm as well. Um, so I might have already mentioned this, but this course kind of focuses on problem solving and procedural and data abstraction. And then we got a couple course objectives. You should be expecting to write 500 to 1,000 lines of code, compile programs, and really create C++ programs with a bunch of advanced topics, such as functions, pointers, vectors, etc. So if you want kind of a detailed breakdown of objectives by module, you can actually turn to the course outline. And so this will be offered, this can be found in the course itself. But what this outline does is it provides descriptions of the objectives per unit. And so if you find yourself wanting to get ahead of the curve, you may want to reference this and as kind of a basis for how you go about like studying and really creating forward-looking programs. So let's go back to our syllabus. Course prereqs, the expectation is that you have Math 4A. So this is the trig course offered at Clovis, so or some equivalent. And then it's recommended that you have eligibility for English 1A. We won't be using a textbook for this course, but I strongly recommend that there are a couple good links. W3 Schools and Learn CPP are really good links for learning C++ concepts in the event that you may find that like the way that I'm explaining isn't adequate, or you may want supplemental ways of like approaching the concepts. Those are some good links, some good websites. So, um, in case you haven't seen, this course will utilize Canvas. So we will be making class announcements. We will be posting assignments. We will be posting exams, projects. This is kind of where you'll find a lot of your information for the course. So it's where I'll be primarily interacting with you. So not really a whole lot that needs to be done outside of the Canvas page. In the event that you're struggling with this course, CS is not an easy subject. Clovis College offers a tutorial center where tutors are enrolled at some college or university and they've excelled in the subject they teach. So you can find more information in the link to the tutorial center that I've included in the syllabus. Communication plan, kind of already gone over that, so I'll skip that section. The drop policy. I've gone over this, but I want to emphasize again, you must complete the exercise on introducing yourself on the class discussion board. There is a module where you can find that information. You can click on that. And also, the welcome letter will include a link directly to that. So there's multiple ways of getting to that discussion board. But you must complete it a week before the course start date begins, or you must notify me that you're not able to do so. Otherwise, again, I will have to drop you, and I don't really want to do that. Um, so that kind of leads me to my next point, late work. So if you are routinely not submitting assignments and not notifying me as to why, then I may have to drop you early on in the course. Keep in mind that late work, you have up to 10 days that you can exhaust, and you can use a max of 5 late days per assignment. So you have 10 late days you can spread across all your assignments, and max of 5 can be used for one assignment. And so this is kind of to give you leeway in the event that extenuating circumstances arise, or you might find a particular project challenging. I'd rather you complete it, than worry about the due date. So completion to me is really important, and conceptual understanding to me is kind of really important. So. Um, Feedback. So you'll receive feedback in two forms. First is kind of the auto grader. So the auto grader will give you feedback 5 days after the late submission or the late drop policy. That's to ensure that students who haven't submitted before the deadline don't get like an advantage by knowing how the grading system works. And then also you'll receive manual feedback from me as needed. So for instance, like I'll be kind of providing comments on code cleanliness as needed, but generally the bulk of your grade should come from this automated feedback from the auto grader. So you'll get simple test cases, complex test cases, and hidden test cases, and all of that will be given to you 5 days minimum after, or 5 days minimum after the assignment due date has passed. And then if you need immediate feedback, feel free to reach out to me through email or office hours. The tech support policy. This is yes. So I expect you to use a computer. But in the event that you see like issues with the autograder, you see issues with the Canvas course page, let me know. Other people might have that same question and might not be bringing it up. So I have no problem like acting on any immediate like issues that need attention. So feel free to let me know and I can address it as soon as possible. Homework and extra credit. I will be giving homework in this form, as mentioned before, in the form of programming labs and quizzes. So do make sure you are um, on top of that. And then I may give extra credit assignments at my discretion. The project is going to be a large scale program that's going to span about 3 weeks, and it's going to require you to create a program that adheres to some given design doc, and you can even work in groups of two. So I am encouraging pair programming here. Um, and I want to make sure that this project really tests your ability to program um, at a large scale. So the weekly lab assignments, you can kind of do them in a day or two. The projects are not going to be done in a day or two. They are expected to take a while. So it is kind of a measure of how you're able to create large scale programs, which is a big factor or a big, I guess, course goal um, for you to get out of this. Um, so we have our exams next. I mentioned you get a midterm and final exam, so they're both comprehensive in nature, and they're primarily testing your ability to read and write code in C++. There'll be multiple choice, free response, all kinds of questions. So mainly used to test your ability on writing C++ programs. device users and classroom visitors. There is not really a physical classroom for this course, but if for some reason this course reverts to being in person, you shouldn't be disruptive. You're allowed to use your personal devices as long as you're not being disruptive to those around you. Again, n not a lot of this really pertains to an asynchronous setting, but the um, the concepts of like respect and being mindful of others, that is universal regardless of whether you're in an async course, a synchronous course, or whatever. Um, you have the plagiarism and academic policy, which I really do want to emphasize. Plagiarism, copying code from online to directly implement an assignment, not okay. Copying code from a peer, not okay. Copying code from AI chatbots, not okay. So you really need to make sure that the work you're submitting is primarily your own. And if you cite any online sources, if you use any online sources, you need to cite that. Yeah, you need to cite that. Otherwise, it is plagiarism. Another thing that I want to emphasize is that with the rise of like AI engines, it becomes very alluring to have the AI engine kind of do your tasks for you. I want to repeat, you can use AI chatbots in the context of helping you debug error messages, helping you understand like why you're encountering a certain error. You should not be copying the description of assignments and then basically pasting them to like ChatGPT and then getting some code out of it. You're going to run into a lot of issues, namely the fact that you probably are not going to be able to understand how your code is written because you didn't write it. You're also not going to be able to understand how to basically resolve problems when you don't have ChatGPT or ChatGPT is not able to resolve your issue. Then what? And so my recommendation is that you use ChatGPT when you want to understand a particular concept or an error message. You don't use it when you need to delegate. Don't delegate the thinking process to ChatGPT. Otherwise, it won't be effective in like your learning process. Accommodations for students with disabilities. If you have some disability or extenuating circumstances, please reach out to the DSP and S program. So I've included a link on how to contact them. And then once you've contacted them, notify me of any approved accommodations, and I'll incorporate that accordingly. Um, I've also included a grade breakdown. Homeworks are 20%, quizzes are 5%, projects are 25%, midterm is 20, final is 30. And then all homework, lab, and quizzes within those respective categories are weighted equally. Final grading is standard. 90 to 100 is considered an A, 80 to 89 is a B, 70 to 79 is a C, and 60 to 69 is a D. Anything below that is considered failing. And just a heads up, I don't really believe in the idea of like pluses and minuses. So A, B, C, D, F, that's going to stay relatively standard. And that's the syllabus. Last but not least, we have an anonymous feedback form. You can click on it at any point in time during the course. And again, all the questions are optional. Feel free to fill out the ones that pertain to you. And upon filling this feedback form, I will get some notification. It is anonymous. I will not know who. And upon filling it out, I'll get a notification and I'll be able to kind of incorporate that feedback in my lectures and my assignments as needed. So I do encourage you to take use of this. So that's it. Welcome to CSCI 40 and happy coding.